it's everyone involved, students, university, and society in Miami and South Florida in general. And kind of a concluding thought to show really the interface between politics and solar is the fact that so many people are stomping their feet, especially the people with big money in this country, saying solar can't work, solar couldn't possibly work, is because it works and it works very well. So it undermines the paradigm. People don't like that, but you know, we should get on with the 21st century. So we'll open the floor to any more questions. If there are any. Oh, I have, but thank you for your efforts on that. This guy already got it.
I have a question about rental properties. Can you, given this that you can't sell to your neighborhood, so can you have solar installed on rental properties?
If you're the owner, you can.
Where the renters are paying for their electric bills, you know, there's on a
Yes, yes, because it's the owner of the home that commissioned the solar contractor to install solar on the home. So that's fine. That's fine.
And then it's metered back through each apartment back to the
Yeah, as long as the person who owns the building is the person that contracts the solar provider.
Okay. So
Because
then,
you're allowed to rent a house that has solar panels on it.
but then in that case, then the energy that would be supplied back, that would go. I guess that's a credit for the person actually using the house, not a homeowner, right?
That's right.
But that sounds to me like the situation that we talked about before, where the business occupying, you know, if it's owned by somebody else, there was this contradiction. I don't know.
The power producer agreement, something like that one?
Well, I thought that if the owner of the building was installing solar, I don't know.
I think I know what you're saying, because if you own the home, right, if you own this building and we're all tenants, we're paying for the energy that we're using, but you make the contract to install the solar panel.
Right.
So the money that we're paying for the energy, that would go where? Back to us, the individual tenants of the apartment?
It would be offsetting the consumption of the tenant. Sure.
Okay. So then if I follow the whole rules of not selling energy to a third party. Okay.
Right.
But you gotta divide the rail by tenants, you know, one per meter.
Yeah. I had somebody come to me and request that I submit a proposal for a building that they had in Bay Harbor, and it was 12 units, and so what we said was it's got to be an all or nothing buy-in, and what we propose to do is 12 identical systems going into 12 separate meters, and we'd be contracted with each individual tenant, each individual unit owner.
Will the building owner cash charge for that power?
No.
Yeah, no. The building owner cannot charge for the power, but you're allowed to own a building and there be solar panels on that building and rent, and rent your home.
You can raise your rent by some amount to account for the power.
Right.
But
for
you're
the
not
energy.
charging for kilowatt hours.
You're not charging for energy or the difference of energy that would produce.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's still, it feels
Does
like.
that make sense? I mean,
No, it doesn't.
you can rent a home with an oven in it and not be an oven distributor
Right, or baker.
or baker.
Right,
Right.
okay. Okay, that's
Any more, anything else?
the last one. Sorry.
Oh, you're gonna.
So like, we're gonna sign that position, right?
Yes.
Sign it.
Right. So what is the expected response of the oil companies from this?
Well, it doesn't have to be expected. We're seeing it in real time.
But I mean, as far as like a move, like something like, because this push, right, is being helped by the 30% rebate, right?
Right.
So, what can we see from the oil companies, kind of like allow us to keep?
The biggest opponents of solar energy are the Koch brothers.
Coke?
The Koch brothers. And what we've seen them do is try to tax people that own solar systems for using the grid. I think they got away with it in Arizona, but a very small amount, just a couple of dollars. And they were trying to tax it, like some real high amount that would make it impossible for solar to work. I mean, they're trying to use all sorts of mechanisms to slow solar down. But, I don't think they're going to really get that much traction. Too many people are benefiting from solar to let that happen.
Okay.
However, if they knock out net metering in this legislative session, you're out of business.
Really?
So, yeah.
Or I'm in the battery business.
Yeah, or waiting for the batteries to catch up. But, there's going to be a couple of years hiatus before you can make a profit.
Yeah. We've seen basically islands are kind of like predicting the future of what will happen in solar. For example, Hawaii and a friend of mine installs in the U.S. Virgin Islands. They capped grid penetration at 10%, which means that after 10% of the energy that runs through the grid is solar backfed, they said no more. And so what they're doing is all these homes are getting solar panels to produce energy. And if they're making more than they're consuming, then they put the energy on a battery bank because they can't feed it back on a grid. But they can still solarize. So if they cancel net metering, you can still solarize, but you get a battery bank.
Yeah, you're right, so.
That's the next thing in solar. Is that
It's double your prices now, doesn't it?
it would what?
It's about double the price for a battery system than a straight grid price.
Right, which makes sense in the islands where a kilowatt hour is 50 cents. It's a lot harder in Florida, but that's what we're going to start. That's what we're going to start seeing. I mean, that's the next interface. Basically, is the battle between storage versus grid penetration.
Are there state subsidy? I mean, what would be the ideal policy that you could just make up what you would want to have to promote renewable and solar? Both state and federal.
I've spoken with Daniela Levine-Cava, who is the county commissioner for Miami-Dade, about what my dream, policy is. And it's not a handout. It's not free money. FPL had the FPL solar rebate that they gave customers. By show of hands, anybody heard of it?
Yeah.
The FPL solar rebate?
But then they come, knock it down, a month or two ago or something?
Basically, it's like, what's the expression? It's like the wolves guarding the sheep. It was the worst program that I've ever heard of. FPL was offering $2 per watt, and the mayor paid $2.20.
Okay, $2.18.
$2.18, right? So if he had gotten the FPL rebate, he would have paid 18 cents per watt installed, and then he would have gotten 30 cents back on that. So he would have ended.
Ironically, when I tried to get into the lottery, it locked me out for 45 seconds exactly, and in 45 seconds, all the money went.
What year was this? This year?
Last year.
Oh, last year. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but it's a huge thing that they locked me out. No, they all hate they spent something like $150,000 trying to keep me from getting reelected. And so they but I thought it was really interesting. I was locked out to the exact duration of the time that all of the money went. Their system worked like a perfect disincentive program. Because I've got a friend, John, who's got FPL rebate money, so man, his array is basically paid for. Well, I want that. I want them to pay for my array, so I'm not going to install it this year because I didn't get in the lottery. So I'll try next year.
That's exactly it. That's
And
exactly
so
it.
next year and next year and next year. And so by giving large amounts of money to a small number of people, they create a disincentive for people to do it without the rebate. I want to win the lottery.
Yeah.
And so for several years I said, well, I'll try again next year. Well, they kept locking me out. And finally I said, I'll screw that. I'm still going to do it.
Exactly. It was expected that they would not have a program again this year. And in last November, they announced that they were going to do a program this year. And then all business basically froze and nobody wanted to move forward on their contracts because everybody was sure they were going to get this. We had over 100 contracts lined up, both commercial and residential. Out of those, we were able to reserve 4 rebates, which FPL later came and announced, nope, actually, no, you didn't get them, our bad. So, you know, I'm a huge skeptic. I think that this is money that the Public Service Commission forced FPL to give out as part of this rebate program, and $2 per watt just doesn't make sense. It would make more sense to offer 50 cents a watt, and then people that are really interested in going solar get a little bit of incentive and not some madness dash towards a pot of money that I haven't yet really seen anybody actually get. So to answer your question, what the perfect incentive would be, I think that it'd be really neat if the county could give out a loan at like 2% interest rate. And so that way, people who can't afford solar, you know, that big cost, upfront cost that the solar is, can get it paid for, can pay it back, and you know that they can pay it back because they allocate the money that they're saving on a power bill towards paying back the loan with a very low interest rate. And so yeah, either a no interest rate or a very low interest rate loan for solar, I think would be the way to go. Maybe they would do it.
It makes sense with capital interest, but still, that's pretty good.
Just beat the banks. Beat the banks. Banks are offering 4, 6, 5, 8%. You know, offer something low. Offer something to truly want to get people to do solar, not to try to profit on people. And it would work. Grab a card, check out the website, please. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
And if you guys haven't signed up the petition to break up the idea of monopoly, do it now. Let's get solar and stop.